So what we're going to do here is just we have 3 projects, all very different. Thank you, and all Perth-based. And I'll get you another chair, Nicky, in a sec. Just hang on, give me a sec. And I'm going to let you introduce yourselves. And you've got about 8 minutes each, and I'm going to be pretty strict on time. And I might start. Maybe I'll start with this at this end of this table. So,
thanks, Ian.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Sam. And what do we like? Take up the 8 minutes straight away?
Look, I think Sam, you can probably take up the 8 minutes. People don't listen to me asking questions. So, who are you? What are you doing here? What's your project? Where it's going next? And are you going to achieve success?
Okay, and then the next
And
person
all the way
introduces.
down.
Okay.
Oh no, just do you first.
Okay, so I'm Sam from Ocean Floor Music, co-founder.
Yeah, my name's Clint Arthur. I'm the co-founder of Ocean Floor Music as well. What a pleasure to be here today. Thank you for having us, Ian. Great conference. I'm sure everyone's been watching it online. Steve Vallis and the team, congrats to all the key contributors and presenters. Well done to everyone there as well. The problem that we're trying to solve at Ocean Floor Music. Well, we're going to
keep going.
Yeah, we're going to go in. Yeah.
Okay,
The problem that we're trying to solve at Ocean Floor Music is a real world problem. We've noticed, and as passionate musicians from the past, artists globally receive 13% of revenue. We don't think that's good enough. We want to help artists, right? That's where we're at. Also, you know, the commoditisation of the music industry has been pretty similar for 300 to 400 years now, where artists get paid at the end of the cycle, which we also think is probably unfair. So we want to flip that up a little bit. The statistic and the thing that really hit Sam and I probably about 12 to 18 months ago is there's a mental health crisis in the music industry. And statistically in Australia, the suicide rates are 6 times higher than the national average, and suicide ideation is 7 times higher. We don't think that's okay. First Nations artists are starting to get a little bit of light. Congratulations to Big Sound, the biggest music conference in Australia. In 2019, when the Black Lives Matter movement was moving through, they really brought to the forefront how we bring First Nations artists and put them in the spotlight. We're really proud to have a First Nations fund that we'll bring into our project, which we'll talk a little bit in a few minutes about that, and really preserve the art and Indigenous music into the future. The last thing where we see a problem in the industry, well, look, we love gamers, and I've watched so many great presentations over the last 3 days. The 47% of NFT market share that gamers have got, fantastic. It's time to help the musicians out, right? Less than 2% of the total market share. Some great traction that we've really seen in the last, I guess, the first quarter of 2022, where, NFTs in general, I guess, have had the same equivalent revenue growth as a full year of revenue income last year. We really want to help the music industry to grab its next piece of the pie. So there's a bit of background of our problem. We've got a real world problem that we're trying to fix. I'll hand over to Sam to tell you how we're going to do that.
Thanks, Clint. He could have done this whole thing. He's really good at talking, as you can see. So yeah, Ocean Floor Music, basically you can think of us as a crowdfunding ecosystem on the blockchain. So supercharged in a way, so we leverage DeFi, our IP, our thing that is the center of our ecosystem is our Smart Project Fund. That's the fund that artists, fans and industry can start to fund projects. They are basically open for contribution. They go into a staking program that grow over a maturity period, and then that fund gets released and goes into our music marketplace, where our industry partners provide services and products to create that project. Once that project is created, it goes into our NFT marketplace or into the traditional marketplace for sale. It's important to understand that we're not here to sort of take over or disrupt the traditional music industry. Indeed, I've been part of the traditional music industry for 35 years, and in higher education, in music technology as well. So we really respect it. So rather than pushing back to the traditional music industry, we ask it to come on board. The fact that we have no right over anything that is created on our platform, as in, we don't hold any copyright, any royalties. Everything remains with the artist. with the fan, with the industry that creates that fund, means that we can open our arms quite comfortably to labels, to managers, to record companies, anybody who's got a project to create, no matter what it is, whether it's a festival. Yeah.
So Sam, can I just ask a question?
Sure, mate.
If I'm a musician and I've got some new pro songs or whatever I want to get out there, I come to your platform. What does your platform do for me?
So you've obviously you want to fund a project.
Yep.
That's why you come to us, basically, right? So you open a smart project fund. A lot of our research shows that 1,000 superfans are 10x the value of 1 million streamers. So just think about that.
Just break that down for us. So superfans defined as.
So the research out there states that a superfan will spend on average $50 a year on their favourite artists, and that's real money. You know, $1,000, 1,000 superfans, $50. That's 50 grand a year. That's more money than an artist than the 90% of the long tail, is what we call it, as in the artists that are struggling to make a living from their music. That's more money than they make in 2 or 3 years, in fact.
Right.
So we believe 1,000 superfans are far more powerful than 1 million streamers on Spotify, for example. And that's the research that we're working on. So if you've got a few hundred fans that really love the work that you're doing, then you can make a really solid start with one of our smart project funds to fund your next project. Yeah, so I forgot where I was. Where was I?
So where to from here, right? Let's maybe talk about that.
So where are we at with the project, and where to from here?
Sure. Well, I'll give it a little bit of. So we're in community build at the moment. Our back end is well and truly in development. Our staking program and the ability to buy our token is, as far as in the website, is pretty close to completed. But all focus is on building community at the moment. We've done a great job in going from pretty much zero 4 to 6 weeks ago to now cracking 80,000 people across our social medias, which for a little Perth organisation run by our gorgeous little family over there that we love very much, we're very proud of where we're going. So that's our main focus at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And to grow our DAO structure, our IP is second to none. Our advisory comes from, I'm sure everyone's heard of the game Illuvium. The CFO there, Danny Wilson, has been helping Sam and I guide our pathway in this space for probably 8 or 9 months now in total. So really grateful, and that leads into the introductions into the Joni Piroviches and Mark Blands, and our IP and our skill set and our team and our DAO structure just grown to one of the best in the world. So continuing to create that ripple effect of people who want to come to Web3 and come to a DAO, who want to contribute to a music project, to help create, to help connect, to help create a better future. That's who we are, and that's where we're going.
Great. Well, thanks, gentlemen. That was very interesting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, round of applause. Thanks. Scott, I'm just going to ask you, Nikki's would like to go live onto a website. Is that able to be brought up at the moment, or do we give you 5 minutes? It's Nikki, 1 minute, so I think it's worth waiting. While we're waiting for that to be brought up, Nikki, welcome again. And is Nikki's mic on?
Hello? I'm sorry. Hi everyone. Oh, that's loud.
Yeah.
Hello. Hi, I'm Nicola Coxon. I'm an emerging digital and NFT artist from lovely Perth. Oh, thanks. So yeah, I had my first exhibition last year through Linton & Kay Galleries. I graduated from Curtin University of Technology in 2005, and I graduated as essentially a video. I'm talking video, like old tape video. And my lecturers sort of said, that's great, but what do you do with it? So fast forward to 2021, and I approached Linton & Kay, and they were very excited, and I think, Ian was quite instrumental in that too, because...
I think Linton & Kay, if you don't know it, is one of the probably one of the top art galleries in Western Australia, and it was the first, as far as I'm aware, the first sort of NFT, certainly in Western Australia, possibly Australia, gallery, and it was Western Australia sort of. I like to always boost you up. A huge success, and so very proud of Nikki on that.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to say also thank you for inviting me to this amazing week, this panel and Blockchain Australia, because the depth and breadth of professions that have been talking over this week is sort of mind-boggling, and I feel like a very small fish in such a huge pond. So, yeah, thank you.
We all feel like that, I think. You know, it's,
so I guess what blockchain, what NFTs have done for me is validate my art, for one, which for an artist I think is huge, and then yeah, to be able to connect with such a wide community, and yeah, that's pretty amazing. So,
so I think we've got your slides up. Scott, is that right? So maybe Nikki, you've got a video here. Would you like to play that?
it might be very loud, so...
Okay, so just watch the
but
sound
this,
when it comes on.
this actual piece, so this is one of my
hang on.
very early pieces from 2005, which was on old VHS tape, which converted to digital, and then I minted into an NFT last year. And yeah, it's called Embryo, which I thought was quite fitting for this whole ecosystem, organic building, neuronal connection of different communities. It just fits all nicely. So it's analog technique. I film with a camera perpendicular to a Petri dish, and it's all paint, ink, and solvents mixing together to create digital art.
And where do you think you might go next with this, Nikki? What's sort of brewing in your creative mind about where you might be thinking to do next in this area, or you?
I think augmented reality is something that I'd, not me personally, but to bring into the scope of practice. It would be really cool. I think we're seeing a lot of talk about the goggles and the augmented reality in terms of the metaverse, and rather than virtual reality, but I'm getting into, looking at Sandbox, Decentraland, and
okay,
that's all very cool and exciting to look at. So, but I think I'm only just starting, so where it goes, I don't know yet. I've got to create more.
Great.
Yeah. Oh, but there was, sorry to keep talking, but at the beginning of the year I was fortunate enough to be invited to participate in Blue Thumb Art Gallery, their Genesis launch of their digital platform. They're one of the largest Australian online galleries, and they celebrated their 10-year anniversary this year. So,
okay.
And they launched their digital platform, and I was lucky enough to be asked. We had like marble mannequin and I don't think I've said that correctly. Anyway, we had lots of amazing artists. So
Good stuff. Congratulations. Well done. Thanks, Nikki. Okay, so now we're over to Miles.
Beautiful, thank you. Yeah, welcome everyone, and thanks Ian for, I guess, the invitation to be able to come up and talk about Envision and my background and where we are and where we're going. And also, congrats to these guys. I've been speaking with Clint for quite a while, and I know, their kind of mission, whilst it's in a different vertical, is very similar to ourselves. So I think it's really cool to see, Web3 and actually really creating a difference rather than like a lot of blockchain and cryptos sort of in it, more for, turning an investment. So I guess Envision, what we are, is actually very simple at its high level. So I won't need 8 minutes, so I might sort of go back to where it all began for me. So probably like a lot of people that are in this space, it kind of started, I guess, from an investment perspective. I was a little bit bored with what my shares were doing, so I thought I'd ape into some Bitcoin, and then it was Ethereum, and then I think I had 30 different sort of altcoins, and didn't really know what I was buying or anything about them. Was pretty good at buying the top, and I guess when you've got a little bit of skin in the game, you kind of end up putting a little bit more time into it. So while I was working full time, I'd spend my lunches and my nights basically researching and looking into what the altcoin was, and then kind of realised, there's an actual fundamental value that these projects were doing, and I guess it kind of got me interested into the space from there. I guess fast forward 4 or so years ago, one of my good friends from school, we were chatting, he was starting to get into the space, and he'd basically had a professional videography and photography business for sort of 12, 13 odd years, and essentially was having a whinge to me about how poorly he was getting paid with a lot of the stock media platforms that were out there, so the sort of Getty Images and Shutterstock and all of those. So essentially what he was finding was that he was getting paid in sometimes sort of 15 to 20% of what they were actually generating in revenue. So I think very similar to the music industry, when there's a Web 2 incumbent that is taking such a wide margin, I guess that's the sort of opportunity that Web 3 creates. So essentially what Envision is and what we're building is a decentralized stock media platform. So for photographers and videographers to market and sell their content. So I guess in going with the theme here, we're essentially using NFTs to provide a proof of ownership. So as well, I resonated with the previous speakers in, there's a lot of value on data, and you might not think about it, but even in sort of a lot of those big providers that are currently the Web 2 providers, they're using a lot of that information to then kind of push their content and generate more revenue. So I think we're creating an environment where we're giving all of the control and all of the data back to the creator. So if you're a professional photographer or videographer, I guess just like a normal Web 2 provider, you kind of create an account, and then there'll be a social aspect to it where people can follow what certain artists are doing, what filters they're using, what sort of content is selling, and then they'll be able to use that data to then, I guess, shape what they're taking and how they're filtering and how they're putting their content out there. So yeah, I guess in terms of what we are. So where we are, we're sort of midway through actual development. It's been quite cool for me. I've recently moved back from the UK, and we were very fortunate enough to actually partner with Curtin University in their R&D blockchain lab, which is there. So I'm not sure if everyone even knew that existed, but there is actually an R&D lab specifically built to help projects like ourselves and go out and research and development certain aspects that are maybe challenging or unknown, and then in partnership with their partner Natsoft, essentially helping us with building it. So yeah, we've got a all Perth-based team at the moment, so there's 6 full-time staff, which is myself and my 2 co-founders. And then from there, we've also brought some in-house development. So we've got a front-end developer and a back-end developer essentially building the platform, and then we'll be using Natsoft and Curtin to sort of integrate the NFT aspect to it. So it's kind of where we are now, yeah.
Fantastic. I mean, it's like, so this morning, Michael and I were at a Rotary Club, and the audience at Rotary Club a little bit different from this one, and we were trying to explain to them, well, it's starting with Bitcoin, and then I don't think we even really got to NFTs and this sort of disintermediation of, putting content providers directly in touch with their clients, and here we have 3 tremendous examples, and there's probably dozens of others in the room, of real people doing real projects, doing exactly that. They're providing an opportunity for content providers who should always have been the king and queens in this sort of, they're the ones that, do the real work, I think, and it's putting them directly in touch with their clients. So I think it's great, really great to hear about all your projects. I think we're running a little bit. We've got a bit of spare time, so which is great. So I'm going to do a very short advertisement on a group called the Biddlers and Hodlers. A T-shirt I'm wearing, Michael's wearing one as well. And what this is, it's a not-for-profit, and it is a copy of 2 ideas. The Diggers and Dealers, we want to take on the Diggers and Dealers and sort of try and emulate that at some point. And the other one is copying a group in Victoria called the Bitcoin Bush Bash. And what those people do is get in their cars and drive into the bush and have a weekend in the bush, sort of community outreach, into the rural communities and talk Bitcoin with like-minded people and all that sort of stuff. So that's what we're trying to do. It's a not-for-profit thing. It's just a community thing. And so, speak to Michael or me, and if you want to know a little bit more about it, Nikki was at the inaugural Genesis block, which we held in 2J, which is a tiny town, but beautiful little town outside of Perth, about an hour and a half. And I think there was 20 of us in a tiny little room with 1 air conditioner. But we talked non-stop for like almost 2 days. It was just so much fun. So we're definitely looking forward to the next one and also to seeing it grow. So if you'd like to participate in that as a sponsor or as a participant, most welcome. But unless you've got anything else you'd like to say about project, maybe a final word about your project and what you... Actually, I will start with one question. With photography, one of the things we're seeing is deep fakes. And in that we have auditors, you know, sign off on true and fair, and they're regulated to say these accounts are true and fair. Is it possible at some point, and maybe this is a value add for your platform, to somehow build a system where you can sign off that this photograph or video clip is actually genuine? Because I think that's a big problem that needs solving, and I think maybe something you've thought about.
Yeah, definitely. So I think that's a massive problem with the current solutions that are out there. It's obviously a massive issue with even the collectibles. It's quite easy to buy an NFT, copy it, and then post it somewhere else. So I think one of the things that's quite cool about what we're doing and what NFTs actually allow is with the ERC 1155, there's additional information tied in that. So one of what we're doing is essentially the original raw file, which comes straight from the camera in its most raw format, will be turned into a sort of an original NFT. From that will then be a fork. So if every time someone wants to use or buy the rights to be able to use that content, a fork will be able to be created from that original NFT, which will basically align the raw content with the original NFT that they can own. So with that, if someone wants to sell the original, they can still do that, and then someone else can then on-sell the rights, with a portion of royalties always going back to the original. So within the ecosystem, that's possible. Outside of the ecosystem, it's really challenging. And I think ultimately it's going to be a challenge whether we use blockchain or whether we don't use blockchain, or how we kind of get around copyright infringement is, it's going to be an issue. It's probably, I don't know, similar in music, but maybe a little bit easier because it's attached to a person. But yeah, it is something potentially in the future. There's some way that a camera can be attached to a certain individual and it's written into the metadata that can then be put on chain. That's certainly something, and who knows, hopefully, you know, the biggest benefit I think of blockchain is transparency. And I think if there is some way that from that core creation of the original content, if that can be built in and put onto the blockchain, then there's a huge use case for that. But yeah, essentially what happens off-chain can be really hard, and obviously it's enforceable by law whatever jurisdiction they're in. But it is really hard to actually go about and enforce that, unfortunately.
Did you have something, Sam, on that? Or?
Yeah, I'll go quickly. Everyone here loves music, right? Everyone streaming in, everyone at the venue here. We're connected by music across genres, across countries. It's in our DNA. We all love music. And the future of ocean floor, think about this, in 12 to 18 months' time, imagine being part of a process where you've helped to create that song that you heard in the car, at a cafe, at a restaurant. You've helped create that song. You've helped create an artist's sense of belonging. How powerful will that be? And on the way, you might have also helped their well-being as they do find their sense of belonging, and help to bring First Nations artists' music to the front, and at the same time drive our ESG program forward and do some healthy things for the planet. What a good place to be. Picture yourself there. We love music. Come on the journey with us. Oceanfloor.io.
Well, I think that brings us to the end. You didn't have anything to say on that one, Nicky? You okay? Yep. Thank you. So, look, I think if we could thank our panellists, and I'll get ready for the next panel. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ian.
Thanks everyone.
Thanks, Ian.
Thanks, everyone.